This is the Audacity of Clarity with Erika Colby. And I am 𝗬𝗎Colombo. I am your host today. Erika Colby is a speaker, experiential strategist, and guide for women ready to reconnect with their clarity, courage, and joy. After building multiple businesses and creating transformative experiences for thousands of people, she now focuses on helping women navigate life's turning points with radical self-honesty and grounded momentum. Her work blends lived experience, practical tools, and heartfelt insight to help women move from overwhelm and self-doubt into clarity and self-trust. Through her keynote, The Audacity of Clarity, Erika invites women to step into joy-fueled leadership and embrace what she playfully calls the joy rebellion, the courageous decision to choose gratitude, truth, and joy in a world that often makes that surprisingly radical. Isn't that the truth? And most of us in this group struggle with play and joy, which is why her talk really stood out to me personally. So, Erika, I'm going to go ahead and spotlight you and hand the floor over. Thank you so much for being with us today. And go ahead and introduce yourself and start.
Awesome, Amy. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm over here just blushing. And she's right. We've traveled to some pretty amazing places that we haven't, done with people we do life with every day. So she's a soul sister forever. And I'm just honored to be in this space with you and with all of you online. Whether that's now or later, know that my heart is with you in this. So it is my great joy to share this message with you guys today. So I'm going to do a little screen share and bear with me. Oh, one sec, because it's in a different spot because me and Amy tested it. We can't give away the secret sauce before it's time. Okay, let's share with the right screen. There we go. Okay. And Amy, hopefully that's full screen. Tell me if that looks proper to you.
Yes, that's a full screen. You're good.
Perfect. Excellent. All right, everyone. So, yes, the title of my keynote is The Audacity of Clarity, and it's about helping high achievers. I'm really passionate about helping high achieving women build momentum in their life through truth, grit, and gratitude. My first question for everyone today, and I invite you now, I think if it's not written, it's not real. If you want to grab a notebook, do it now. And so you can jot down any thoughts for yourself because there's going to be some interaction in this presentation for you to do that. Who do you become when things stop going according to your plan? Because that is the moment where your leadership is truly revealed. And I will say that over the years, I've come to believe something about resilience. Resilience without joy, I think it's really just burnout with better branding. And, most high performing women, we don't have a clarity problem. We don't have a resilience problem. We have a clarity problem, right? And that sounds funny because, as women, right, we're typically very good at thinking we've got it all together. But, I've seen this not just in my personal life. I've built and led companies at a very high level, including I most recently was a co-founder in a business strategy firm. And even after exiting that firm, I believe that clarity was still the thing that made or broke most everything. And as women, we are like really freaking good at holding it all together, pushing through, showing up, pretending to be fine. And while that's happening, we're quietly building lives that don't actually feel like ourselves anymore. And, when you're growing up, nobody teaches us what to do when you wake up one day and you look in the mirror and you go, how the hell did I get here? So now I'm going to tell you I'm not here as someone who's got it all figured out. Okay. I am a woman who's made some, very bold. I describe them as slightly unhinged at times, but definitely counterintuitive decisions along the way. But you know what? I call that audacity. And my definition of audacity is actually pretty freaking simple. It's making bold moves that don't make sense to anyone else, but they feel like the absolute truth deep down in your gut and in your bones, right? Okay, so before I go any further, though, I want to invite you right now, and this is something I know Amy's talked to you about a million times. I want you to think back to your 5-year-old self. Okay, now thinking of your 5-year-old self, they're curious, bold, asking questions about everything, right? And this is easy for me because this is my grandbaby right now. He's 5 years old, and he is the most delightful little pain in the ass you'll ever meet, but he's all ours. But I mean, he's completely feral, okay? But do you know what else he is? He's completely alive, completely present, and relentlessly curious. And I get goosebumps right now as I'm even just saying that to you, right? Because somewhere along the way, we lose that. And why? Why the friggin' A do we lose that? Okay, like why? The most interesting person in any room, in my opinion, is the one who is most interested. So think about that for a second. And I'm going to share an old adage here with you while we're thinking about that. As the old saying goes, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use accordingly. I don't know if you've ever heard that one, but I loved it. I had a mentor who always told us that. And clarity doesn't come from getting better answers, but it comes from asking better questions. So in my lifetime, I said, I've made some bold moves. And one of the most memorable was after a very successful 20-year career in sales, where I felt I had done about everything I thought I could do. I made the what looked like very curious and unhinged decision to the world to open a 1920s Prohibition era speakeasy. Yeah, it was down an alleyway, dark, behind a barber shop, just like a speakeasy is supposed to be. And this business looked so fun and so cool on paper. And, it didn't hurt that the Excel spreadsheet was pretty sexy too. And I just thought it was going to be about the best time of my life. But in that very cool, very amazing speakeasy came a day where I found myself locked in my tiny closet office in the back, hiding. Okay. And I was feeling lost. I was feeling totally overwhelmed. And in that moment, I believed I was totally stuck. And everybody outside, though, of the office was partying, laughing, dancing, celebrating. But I was in the back, just, crying my eyeballs out, if I'm being totally vulnerable with you right now. So have you ever been there where you are hiding and feeling stuck? On the outside, you look like you've got it all together. Everybody thinks this woman never cracks, right? But on the inside, that's what you're thinking to yourself when you're hiding, wherever that is. But the truth that I realized was that in that moment, I did not have to continue that journey. I just felt like I had to. And feelings, they're really fickle. So I didn't need so much to hide as I needed to pause. So have you ever had a moment like that where everything's coming at you and you're just like, I just want a second to just breathe, right? And here's the thoughts I think as women that come to us. Be strong. Figure it out. Be a good little bulldozer. Any other women in here maybe identify with this, is that we're taught to just plow through. So the most powerful thing, though, that I could have done in that moment instead was pause. So now when I say pause, though, I don't mean checking out. I don't mean avoidance. And I most certainly do not mean weakness. All right. What I mean is zone out to zone in. Okay. So a power pause can look like a whole lot of things. Maybe it's jumping outside for a quick walk around the block. Maybe it's turning on the music that makes your booty shake and having a dance party. Maybe you're not a dancer, so maybe you just need to shake it out for 2 minutes. Maybe it's a few rounds of box breathing. I mean, I'm thinking if it works for Navy SEALs, it might work for your Tuesday afternoon meeting. I don't know. Call me crazy. All right. So the point is that you have choices. And those choices can give you your power back. So instead of just talking about it, I want us to try this together now. And what we're going to do is I'm going to invite you here in this very moment to get really cozy, plant both your feet firmly into the ground, okay? And, you want to have your arms relaxed. You want to shimmy your shoulders maybe, shake it out. Make sure your palms are open. And then place them wherever feels comfortable for you. It might be on your lap, on your knees. It might be on your belly and on your chest, whatever that feels, good in your bones. And if you feel safe to do so, I want to invite you to even just close your eyes in this moment. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to take 3 beautiful breaths together. Okay. And the breath I want you to take is just 4 counts in, hold it at the top, and release for 6 counts, okay? And I'm going to give you autonomy to do this for yourself. So with together, 4 counts in, nice deep breath. Hold that breath at the top. And as you release it, let it all out from deep in your belly, all the way through your chest. Release that all the way out. We're going to do the next one together. And I want you to breathe it from the bottom of your toes all the way up to the top of your head. And hold that breath at the top. Feel that air in your body, in your lungs, permeating every bit. And now I want you to release it out for 6 with a sigh. Let it out. Ha. And now we're going to do 1 more breath. And I want it to be your best one yet. From the bottom of your toes, deepest breath that you can. Suck in as much air as you can. And then hold it at the top. Feel your body expand in this breath in this moment. And as you let it out, I want to hear ya. I know I'm not with you, but I want to hear ya. Let it out. Maybe let it out. Shimmy your shoulders. Shake your hands, maybe kick your feet. Okay. Come back to me. Open your eyes. And how does that feel? How does that feel? Feel your body right now. Take a moment to really even just feel your body. Okay? Because we get going sometimes. We get so in here in our head, right? And we forget about the body and allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to feel what that feels like. What you just did was get regulated. And if we want real clarity, we got to take those power pauses, because regulated leaders make better decisions faster. And that is real clarity. So can I invite everyone here to remember to make pausing your power move? Because most of us aren't stuck. Right? We're not stuck. We're just avoiding a decision we already know that we need to make. So a few months after that moment of hiding in my office, after deciding to shut down those speakeasy doors, um, I thought, and it was kind of a counterintuitive move. I'd been open a very short period of time, but I was like, no, I'm done with this project. This is it. Close the chapter. And I thought I would feel scared. I thought I would feel sadness. I thought I might feel, scared for the future. But do you know what I felt? I felt relief. I felt complete and total relief in that moment. And I had regained something in that moment that was worth more than all the money in the world. It was margin. And do you know what else you can regain in your life when you have more margin? Clarity. You can get really clear when you've got the time to do so. So, can we just agree today, before we go any further, I want us to get really fucking clear, really freaking honest, really just so unfiltered with yourself right now, okay? Because we are cunning liars when it comes to gaslighting ourselves. And we really love to pretend that we have no choices, zero. But the truth is, we are our own best heroes, okay? And that puts us in the best position to save ourselves. We have all these unspoken stories, all these deeply rooted beliefs floating around. I'll share a big one for me. I had this thought that someone's just supposed to come rescue me, and some of my best clarity was realizing that no one is coming to save me. And that's great news, because I can be my own damn hero and I can do it better than anyone else. I'm the best position for that. Okay, so fast forward a few years later, I was sitting in my doctor's office and I was thinking, I'm not in the best shape, but I'm all right. And it's funny, Amy, this is when we met one another in Hawaii at probably my lowest point in my entire life, right after this meeting in this doctor's office. But she looked at me and she's like, Erika, you have type 2 diabetes. And I was shook. It felt completely overwhelming. But you know what? I didn't overhaul everything at once. I started small, eating differently, walking every day, showing up consistently. It was not flashy. It was just quiet consistency. And you know what happened? It was crazy. In that quiet consistency, I got my A1C back in range within 3 months. And within 8 months, I lost 100 freaking pounds, you guys. And it was showing up day in, day out in devotion to myself to get there. And it wasn't always fun. It certainly wasn't always what I wanted to do. And it most certainly did not come naturally. And the last thing it was comfortable. So what is your capacity to be uncomfortable? Because here's the truth, your life expands in proportion to your willingness to stay uncomfortable without quitting. Okay? And I'll share with you something around this that I love. There's a Dr. Becky at Duke University, and she explains, the adventure of being uncomfortable this way. There's this place in life where we don't know something. Compare it to the place in life where you do know something. And the distance between those 2 points is not a straight line, right? It's nice, twisty, comfy, curvy. And that area she talks about is living in frustration. And so I think it's a really good depiction of what it's like to get your life to expand and ultimately to grow and find more clarity we need to grow the ability and capacity to traverse that adventure and sit in that frustration. And ultimately, that will be the thing that determines our success. So in this, though, don't underestimate the velocity of tiny choices, because we think it's these big, huge things. But it's that quiet consistency I was just talking about in my journey to my weight loss that translates everywhere across life. And I call this micro momentum, because micro changes are what are going to add up to those macro results. Okay. So I wish I could tell you that once you get your life together, that life just leaves you alone. But we know it doesn't. But what it does do is change how you show up, so that when everything falls apart, it's, changed. It's a changed reality for yourself, and it changes who you are in those moments. Because later in life, life handed me a moment that really did test all of it. So I'm talking about that now. I remember that day really clearly. It was the day that the doctor told me that my adult son, had a 1% chance of survival. And in that moment, I can assure and promise you that I felt my soul leave my body. I cried, I grieved, and I broke a little bit. But for some reason in all of that news, very quickly, honestly, that same day, like an epiphany, it hit me. Just because he might stop living did not mean that I would allow myself to stop living. And I wish I could explain to you the power in that one simple thought that I had that day. But it changed everything for me. It was truly a paradigm shift for me in that thought. But I decided early I would take his example. I would carry on. I'd live my best life. I'd be all out, and I would do it full of joy and gratitude. And I would do it for both of us. And what I witnessed in this young man during that time changed me forever. He was in pain. He was scared. He was facing the unthinkable. And still, he chose kindness. He chose laughter. He chose to care about people in that hospital more than himself. He told jokes. He found moments to smile. And he made other people feel seen while he was the one fighting for his life. So one of my favorite things he used to do was sit in his recliner and smoke candied cigarettes. If you can see him here, he's got one in his fingers. And he would puff and he would contemplate life. And you'll also notice he's in his favorite go-to slippers. His uncle gave him these random. He was a huge fan of The Hobbit. And, I'm fun-sized, as was he. So kind of a small human. And he wore these Hobbit slippers that were hairy and fuzzy. And he just loved to make people laugh. He loved to make people giggle. And it made him giggle. And it helped him find joy in those times. I watched a young man with every reason to shut down choose joy anyways. And that's when it hit me. And I have a picture here on the right. That's Elijah when he was not with cancer, and his little baby boy, that little 5-year-old grandbaby I showed you a picture of. And I like to show that as well. So you don't just see him while he was fighting in his health journey. But it hit me that joy isn't circumstantial. it's chosen. Not because life is easy, but because sometimes it's the only thing that makes it survivable. We don't move on from hard things. We grow through them. And as a result of choosing to grow through them, notice I said choosing to grow through them, we rise forward. And then somewhere in all of that season, I learned to live in a new place. And that place is the land of and. It's where two polarizing things can be true at the same time. I can be grieving and I can be grateful. I can be heartbroken and I can still find moments of joy. And that is real, true gratitude through grit. So here's the shift. Gratitude isn't pretending that things are okay. It's choosing to see what still is, even when things feel like they're falling apart. And joy, it has to be chosen. And deeply rooted joy is intentional and often reached for by its truest seekers as an act of rebellion. And that experience, it changed me, because when you walk through something like that, you stop waiting, you stop pretending, and you stop putting your life on hold. And somewhere in all of that, I became someone completely different. I am now fully free, fabulous, slightly feral, and I'm a midlife woman who is fueled by joy and a little bit of hormones. So I'm going to share with you, ladies, if you don't have some hormones in your life, get them out. I'd love to talk about it. I'm happy to share about that after this. So anyways, thank me later on that one. But here's the part that no one tells you. Clarity isn't soft. It's confrontational, because once you see the truth, you cannot unsee it. And if you're brave enough, you got to take radical responsibility for your own life. So I'm about to give you some questions that will change everything for you if you let it. And I call this the ownership audit. So first question, where am I pretending I have no choice? Right now, where am I pretending I have no choice? Remember, we made a pact. I didn't make you put your pinkies out, but right now, pinkies up, bitches. Be radically honest with yourself right now. Where are you pretending you have no choice? Next question. What truth am I avoiding because it's uncomfortable? What truth am I avoiding because it's uncomfortable? Remember, if we want our life to expand, it lies in our willingness to sit in that uncomfortableness. All right, last question. If I took full responsibility, what would I do next? Because let me ask you something. What is just one decision you already know you need to make, but you've been avoiding it? That's your work. Not next month, not when you feel ready, but right now. Because most of us aren't stuck. We're just avoiding a decision we already know we need to make. And all you have to do to get to micro momentum is make one courageous choice at a time. And that's how simple this can be. And everything I've shared today, it comes back to this. It's not perfection, not having it all figured out, but choosing over and over again for yourself to come back to clarity. Because when you do that, You'll find curiosity instead of assumption, agency instead of waiting, capacity instead of quitting, momentum instead of overwhelm, and courage instead of avoidance. And eventually, you'll build something that most people are chasing, but very few actually create on purpose. You'll stop just surviving your life and you'll start actually living it with joy. Because things will stop going according to your plan. And that is not the question. The question is, who do you become when they do? Because it will happen in your business, in your leadership, in your life. And in those moments, you will not rise to the level of your goals. You will fall to the level of your clarity. Clarity about who you are, clarity about what you're responsible for, and clarity about what you are willing to choose next. And the women who create real momentum aren't the ones waiting for things to feel certain. They're the ones that are willing to choose anyway. And when you do that, something really powerful happens. You stop chasing happiness and you start building something deeper. You start building joy, and it's not the kind that shows up when everything's perfect. It's the kind that comes from knowing that I'm living in alignment. I'm telling myself the truth, and I'm choosing my life on purpose. And that kind of joy is not fragile. It's not circumstantial, but it is earned. And sometimes it looks a little bold. It might look a little unconventional. And dare I say, it's probably going to even look a little rebellious. And that's why I call all of this joy-fueled leadership, because choosing joy in a world that constantly is pulling us towards fear, pressure, and burnout is an act of rebellion. And that really is the audacity of clarity. So I am so honored that I was able to share this talk with you today. And I know we're going to invite some questions from you guys. I am going to share how you can connect with me. My website is averygratefulheart.com. And my handles on Instagram, you can see there. Would love to connect with you and hear from you. But Amy, I can't thank you enough for allowing me to be in your world with your community today. And I think we're going to take some questions if you have them.
Erika, thank you. I took that all in. I think you did this for me personally. I needed this message today. I took notes. I mean, you just had some major truth bombs in there. I mean, joy is not circumstantial, it's chosen. That just gave me the chills. You brought in Dr. Becky. She's like one of my all-time favorites. And you talked about the learning space, as she called it, right? That frustration from I'm here, I want to get to here. I use that all the time with my kid when he's frustrated doing homework. And the most interesting person is the most interested. That just like really stood out to me a lot. Audacity, making bold moves, make bold moves that don't make sense to anyone else, but feel like truth in your bones. Just thank you. I just want to thank you for your message today. Like it's beautiful and it's so needed. I mean, you just poured love and life into us today. Like seriously. And I want to let everyone know this is her first time doing this. And I am damn proud because when she's got her TED Talk out there and she's doing this like all over the country, I'm going to be like, we had her first inside this community. I mean, oh my God, Erika, this was so good. Thank you so much. And Um, we've kind of got like one question. If you feel like your joy is blocked, like if you feel like your joy is kind of blocked, like how can we unblock it?
I would go back to micro momentum and taking that ownership audit, right? And allow yourself good space and time. I mean, that is a a power pause can also be your ownership audit, right?
Mm,
So going into that moment and get really uncomfortable and honest with yourself. Um, and then if it's still even struggling to get to that point, it could be rudimentary. I can tell you for myself when I was going through that cancer journey with my son. There were some times where, yeah, did I struggle to find my joy? Of course I did. And it got sometimes rudimentary. So maybe it was that I took a bubble bath. Maybe it was that I let my mind escape into my terrible guilty pleasure TV show for a little bit, just to like turn the noise off
mm.
and allow the brain to shut off and kind of reset. It's like, when your computer won't work and you're like, call the guru who you think's going to do something magical, and what they say is, did you turn it off and back on?
Yes. I love that.
And I feel like that's sometimes what our brain needs, and that's how I can sometimes turn my brain off and back on is, and that is scientifically proven as well, actually, just like letting
Mm,
your mind escape into a TV show. That's a like reset. And then intentionally seeking things that bring you pleasure. I think sometimes we don't get to
mm,
joy because we don't give ourselves simply permission. It's really interesting to me, having walked through losing a child. I did struggle for a second, but it was why I think that radical decision I made to myself that just because he might stop living didn't mean that I would was so powerful. Because I
powerful
think
right there. Mm,
when we go through hard things, we allow what we think, imaginary rules, okay, what we think the world expects us to show up as, right?
hmm.
The
Yes.
world would expect me to show up crushed, sad, devastated, and never leave the bed. But rebelliously, I was like, fuck that.
Yeah. And look at you here today. I mean, your pain been a big part of your purpose. And I don't think there's anything more rebellious. I mean, that's such an interesting word, like that it's a rebellious life. And it is. It truly is. The status quo is not joy. It really is. It's something else. Um, you just said so many amazing things. My favorite thing was at the end where you're like, I'm feral. Like I want to be feral too. I just
Do
love that you
it.
brought in, right? Like the 5-year-old, like how wild children are. And I've just kind of even brought that into my parenting. Like I have the gift of like I've got 22-year-old and I've got a 10-year-old, and I feel like I've gotten a second chance at um being a mom with this new, healing and growth education that I've had. So I like notice it with him and how wild his emotions are. And, I'm just happy that I'm more able to support him in that and not take it personally and not make it mean a bunch of shit about me. Um, yeah, because they are kind of like feral, right? Like we all have our feral moments. Sometimes I think one of the most loving things we could do is give people permission to just like have bad moods around us, right? And not take it personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can we have the capacity to actually do that? That's a big inside job. Yeah, for sure. Good stuff.
And so, like doing things that give us pleasure, because I noticed that with you too, that there was this kind of combination of being in this real life situation that kind of would have one at their knees, right? Grief, losing a child. I don't think anyone could argue that um, there's a more stressful situation in life. But I was hearing too that you made that decision and then you were doing these little things that brought you pleasure. I'm just curious, how does your pain translate into your joy in those moments, right? Because there's such deep pain. And then, like, is there some type of a relationship to the joy that you can hold at the same time through the pain?
Yes. And so, specifically, anyone that's going through grief, couple thoughts that come to mind. Um, if I remind me, Amy, and I'll share the link for this specifically, but there's a Billy Bob Thornton lost a brother, and he gives this most beautiful explanation about in grief, specifically, how it is, in essence, what I call the land of and, where two polarizing thoughts can be true at the same time. He talks about um, he knew like he was never going to get over this. You never get over some things, and you have to learn to be okay with that
Mm,
and grow the capacity to know that me choosing to still honor the life that my son lived and the memories and who he was and keeping his spirit alive for his children, all of that um, is okay. And I can still continue to live my life and find new things, new joys, new whatever. And both can be okay and true at the same time. So for me, that's how it works in my brain. But yeah, when I heard that from Billy Bob Thornton, it really did strike me. It kind of started off this whole thought process for me where I came into this really fully, is that you don't have to move on from something. Just give yourself the permission right now that whatever it is, if it's grief, if it's pain from the past, if it's, I think we get into this work. I know you do a lot with inner child work, right? It's about
hmm
reintegration. It's not about that you're going to just, I got to get rid of that. I want to deny that. The more we fight, usually the worse it gets for us. So learning, for me, the way it worked was learning to let both coexist in their own little
mm,
ecosystem, in their own little happy ways. And what it did was make life richer for me.
mm,
Because I can assure you, watching my son, a young man, go through this, the unthinkable, right? Um, Made me deeply grateful, which made me operate at a different level. And that's a gift. As
mm.
horrible as that is, that is like the most epic, beautiful gift. I know without a shot, I'm getting goosebumps right now and I feel the tears, but I'm not going to do it. Like, I feel the most deep gratitude to get to, not have to get to live life in this way now
Mm.
because of those horrible things.
Yeah, that is so powerful. And that is a testament. I mean, you're a living, breathing testimonial of what you just shared. This is your story. This is your personal work. And I can tell that you're doing the work because a lot of people don't even realize they have a choice. I mean, I love these. I wrote them down. Where am I pretending to not have a choice? Right? Because, right, we're just kind of tricked all day into thinking we don't have a choice into things. I really appreciated those questions that you gave at the end. And, for anyone that appreciated them too, I mean, I'm going to make these my journal prompts for the next couple of days. They're great journal prompts to like really get into these three questions. Um, yeah, just thank you. This is like beautiful. I really love it. I did, there's one other thing kind of swirling around in my head, Erica, because I think like we're into this, healing space, right? And we're going on retreats and we've got coaches and, we have decided that we're worthy to pour money into our own healing and growth. I know that was like new for me. But now it's just like the best money I can personally spend. But for anyone out there that maybe doesn't have those kind of resources, like doesn't have money to get a coach or like go on a healing retreat, like maybe what's something that they can start with, just like right where they're at, like in creating more joy in their life.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Ooh, so many ideas. So to that person, I would say first and foremost, just give yourself permission because we do have the choice to make a paradigm shift. This is the same theme, different topic, okay? So just choose to not focus on what I can't get well because I don't have access to money. Well, that's a limiting scarcity mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
So no, you have choice. What can I do? That's the right question. Again, clarity doesn't come from better answers. It comes from asking better questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is the right question? The question is, what can I do?
Yeah.
And what that looks like to me, again, I gave the power pause today, right?
Mm-hmm.
The gift of time and margin is like the most fucking luxury we can give ourselves. Like we're the bulldozers of the world, right? And we think, well, it has to look beautiful, like a Instagram story that I went to this, fabulous place and we were in this pool and then we did this like, oh my God, we took this mud bath, and I'm just making shit up now. We just took this thing and it like my demons came out of my body and it was like the best experience of my life. I'm forever changed. No, like you can take and gift yourself 15 minutes in the morning and do that power pause and breathe. And that's real luxury, because I can assure you I've worked, coached, mentored millionaires who are dying on the vine and would give anything for that kind of quiet luxury.
Yeah, and it's as simple as a pause. And I love that you brought that in, because presence is everything, getting more present with ourselves in that pause. And we don't need luxurious. I think we're under the assumption we need all this time. You really don't. We can get present with our kids at bedtime, right, for 10 minutes, and they can feel that love and that connection with us. I kind of learned that with parenting. Parents tend to feel guilty about not spending enough time, but when you learn like presence can be moments, a moment of presence is so much more valuable than, hours of just sort of flying by each other. Yeah, so that's basically what I'm hearing. Like, get present, pause, go for a walk. Yesterday, I took my kid on a spring break, like to a bike trail, and we did a bike ride for like 20 minutes together. And that was the highlight of my day, right? And that was free. Yeah, like we need to be conscious and decide to live a rebellious life and have the audacity to create these moments of joy, because like you said, no one's coming to save us and no one's going to do it for us. Erika, thank you so much. You were a gift today. I love this. And, if you guys have questions, leave them. Erika's going to leave all her information on this post in a comment, so you can go there and just want to say bye and thank you for being with us, everybody.
Yes, from the bottom of a very grateful heart. Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you for everybody who has joined us today. I just thank you so much.
All right.